he can actually smell, see, and hear everything that's going on around him. He can also pick up vibrations up to 20 meters away. He does that by a little black dot on every skin of his body called a dermal pressure receptor. So he knows exactly where all you are. Would have felt you all coming down. He felt vibrations of the body as well come down, and if you saw before I tapped the stick a couple of times, that's just to tell him to come over to his speech station. So his name is Boss Hog. We think he's about 70 years old, and as I just said earlier, he's probably just over 5 meters in length, and we think he's probably about 700 kilos. Obviously, we don't go around weighing him very often, being that he's such a large animal. And I say that we think he's about 70 years old. He was born in the wild, so we're not exactly sure how old he is. He used to live in far north Queensland and frequented some cattle stations up there. So the farmers were happy that he took a head of cattle here and there, didn't faze them too much. He took down one of the farmer's prize Brahman bulls. So that farmer was out of pocket $10,000. So it was time they thought that he probably found a new home. So by this time it was 1984, 4 meter crocodile bison, and they take matters into their own hands because crocodiles have been protected for 10 years by that time. So it's actually illegal to capture and kill a crocodile. So they called a man called John Lever, who has Piranha Crocodile Farm just outside Rockhampton. He has a permit to be able to relocate animals like Boss. So he went up there with his team, caught Boss up and took him to the farm. And as I said, that was 1984. He stayed there until 2013, and then he came here to the sanctuary to live out his happily ever after as a bachelor and be an ambassador for all those wild crocodiles out there. So as I said, in 1984 he was a 4 meter crocodile, and as I said earlier, he's now over 5 meters. So that means that they continue to actually grow their life. So they can live to be 100 years old. So he's still got quite a lot of years to go. So he will be here long after I've gone, and he will keep growing. They don't grow vast amounts, but they do grow quite. There we go. He's popped himself up now. So what we're going to try and show you now is a natural habit. He's not taught him to do this. He's actually taught him to walk like it. That's still. So this is called the tail walk. He would do this out in the wild if he was going to get bats or birds from overhanging branches. A crocodile of his size can get about up to sort of height out of the water. A smaller male or a 3 meter female can virtually get the full length of their body straight up and out of the water. So that's about the bottom of this platform here. But being that he's quite heavy, it does take a lot of effort. So we'll just see how he goes, and we'll see whether he's interested or not. He is a bit of a diva. He only likes chicken. He won't eat anything else. We're also going to see whether he can show us some of his jaw pressure. So there's 3,500 pounds per square inch of pressure in that jaw, and that's the equivalent to the braking power of a jumbo jet. So to put that into perspective, he can crush the skull of a water buffalo with the same ease that we can squish a grape between our finger and thumb. So he's a bit cheeky. He waits until he thinks I'm not cheeky, and then he'll try and snatch his piece of chicken. So if you watch him, he'll start to wind up that tail because that's where he gets his power from. If you see that tail starting to go up. So they're very patient animals as well. They can wait days, weeks, even months for their food to come down.
불쌍하다. 근데 되게 그거래 페이션트하대. 참을성 있다고. 별로 안 세 보이는데 내가 이기겠는데?
So as you can see, he comes up to the surface to actually swallow that food. He can open his mouth under the water, but he closes his backward facing tongue, which is called the palatal valve. He cannot open his mouth underwater without closing that tongue, because he will take on water himself and drown himself, which is probably not a good thing to do. So when he's actually eating, what he will do is come to the surface and actually swallow that food while he's on the surface. So he's actually made to grab, bite and pull. These guys here behind us, you'll notice that their snouts are a lot thinner. They don't eat anything bigger than the size of your fist, and they need to be able to grab things and swallow it whole. Whereas I said, like, he will actually grab and pull things off. Does anybody have any questions so far? I am actually going to feed him down at the other end in a minute, so once I get off this platform, he will go over to the other end. We're going to go feed him down there. As he goes over the centre, look at those bumps on his back. They're called scoops. They act in a couple of different ways. If he was out in the wild and he was actually defending territory with another male, it actually is very, very tough and quite hard to actually penetrate. So that actually acts as armour plating against that male. But it also diffuses the water. So as he's swimming along, the water actually goes between those scoops. It actually means that he's very stealthy and he hardly makes a ripple. So if you notice that when he goes over, you'll see he dips down into the deep end over there. He'll completely disappear and he'll pop up at the other end. I'll meet you down there in a moment. Then you see as he comes over,
아까 길게 있는 법을
tells
알려줬어.
you over that bump and he'll completely disappear. So if this was a nice cloudy freshwater stream out in his territory, you would not be able to see him whatsoever. What I'm going to show you now is that all you need to do is break the surface tension of the water and he should react. I say should, sometimes he doesn't, but we'll see how he goes. So as you can see, all I did was drop that chicken into the water and he reacted straight away. So that's what he would do if you were heading down to the waterways down in his territory. You might not even know that he's there, but as soon as you break the tension of the water, he should react. Next to you there. There we go, good boy. This is also a good opportunity for me being here. I can get quite close to him, so this is probably as close as I'd want to get to him. As much as I love him to death, I still wouldn't trust him, being that he's an apex predator. He's the top of our food chain. So without this guy being in the top of our food